All right, so for question 19, this is about the use of quadratic formula. And now as an Algebra 2 student, it is quite necessary to know the quadratic formula for a few reasons, because it really tells us a lot of information. So first, let me go ahead and write down the quadratic formula. There is no excuse how someone would say, I don't know the quadratic formula. It's really about how much effort you put in. Okay, it is unacceptable that that anybody doesn't know about the quadratic formula. Okay, and just something aside from this problem. If you know the quadratic formula, you know quite a few things. You know that this is the equation that you can find out the root, which means you can also find out the x-intercept. Okay, so that's one thing. Next is that you should also know that the b squared minus 4ac is your discriminant. Okay, is your discriminant that tells you the number of roots. Okay, if it's bigger than one, it's bigger than zero. It's two real roots equal to zero. That would be one real root, and if it's less than zero, that would be no real roots, but there will be two imaginary roots. Okay, I've seen some people asking me that does the discriminant include the square root, and the answer is it doesn't, because the number b squared minus 4ac, that actually tells us a good wealth of information, because we can tell whether we have two answers, one answer, or imaginary answers. Okay, so that's the second piece of information that you can tell. And then and the last thing, it's you can always find out the axis of symmetry by looking at negative b over 2a, which is this part of the equation, negative b over 2a. So that's what I've been telling students, that if you know, and by the way, I'm saying you know something, not you memorize something. You actually get to appreciate, you think about, wow, you know, the quadratic equation is so cool. We can tell so many pieces of information by just knowing the quadratic formula. Okay, if you can do that, your SAT would actually be good, believe it or not. Okay, it's about the attitude, how you approach these questions or concepts. If you just want to kind of get it over with, that's just hurting yourself. All right, now there are actually a couple of things you can do. You can say that A is 2, B is -8, and C is 4, and then you just go ahead, plug it into the quadratic equation. You can do that, or if you are sharp with your vision, you would say, wait a second, I think I've seen some even numbers that are consistently appearing on the left-hand side of the equation. Can we just go ahead and divide the whole thing, like the left and right, by 2? And we say, yeah, actually, you can do that. So if you want to do that, and you can reduce the expression by 2, and you would have x squared minus 4x plus 2. So then your a value is 1, b value is -4, and c value is 2. And this is much better to work with, because you know, smaller numbers. So I'm going to rewrite it again so that you can see it better. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And if you have been watching my videos, I always suggest students to use parentheses whenever you do substitution. Yeah, if I do that, I'm not saying that I'm a teacher, you should follow my lead. I'm saying that I tried not using it, and I got hurt from it, so I don't want you to get hurt. So that's why I'm telling you, I'm sharing this wonderful news with you, that please go ahead, use parentheses so that you don't get hurt. All right, so you have that. So negative of -4, it's 4, and then 16 minus 8, okay, whatever that is. and then over 2. So x is equal to 4 plus or minus square root of 8 and over 2. And here you've got to be ready to reduce the square root of 8 to 2 root 2. And then you divide by it, you would have, and by the way, when you reduce, you would reduce with both. Okay. Now, if you say I have trouble understanding how you are reducing the fraction, then I would say, let me go ahead and show you this viewpoint then, that understanding the 2 in the denominator is actually a common denominator. So, so you can go ahead and split the fraction back to 2 separate fractions. So you have 2 because of 4 over 2 plus or minus root 2. And hey, that's the answer. Okay. Yeah, don't get distracted by a, that's not a negative in the front. So all in all, you want to make sure that your ability to substitute it's perfect. You can handle the arithmetics right here. You can simplify fractions and simplify radicals right here, and of course you cannot do the quadratic formula unless you know the quadratic formula. So that's a really simple, straightforward idea. Okay, so that's all. And just make sure that you go ahead and practice a lot, making sure that you know how to substitute in. And by the way, don't forget this, okay? It's not on this test, but you should still know it as a way of appreciating that you are memorizing the quadratic formula anyways. Why not know something more in the quadratic formula? Okay.